Today I'm going to review Growth, From Microorganisms to Megacities by Vaclav Smil. So this book, it's a very large, very dense book, and it's covering the data behind growth and covers all kinds of different types of growth. It's somewhere between like a popular nonfiction book and like an academic reference book or a textbook. It's clearly not narrative driven. It goes through categories of topics and it covers a lot of data behind each topic, but it's not really academic. It's not overly dry and dense. It's very approachable for people, but the way the information is put together and how it's laid out is very data driven, and that gives me the feeling of a like academic book more so than a popular nonfiction book. So the book covers like 4 domains of growth. It covers nature, energy, man-made objects, and then it covers like societies, like things like population and the economy. And it goes through these one by one. So this book is not a book for people who can't handle data. I mean, there's a huge amount of data. There's a lot of charts of data, and there's not a lot of narrative built on top of the data. He's just going through each of these domains, and then within each domain, there's like subsections that cover, different smaller topics within the larger domain. And in each one, he just covers the data that's there, how the growth happened, how it stopped, where the cycles have ended, where they are now, things like that. It's really interesting when he's covering a topic that's interesting. But when the subject matter underneath is not that interesting, then the book can get very tedious and boring. If you need like a strong narrative to get through a nonfiction book, then this is not going to be the type of book for you. This book is all about the data, and it's just going through each category of data. Like I said, it can get dry when the subject matter is boring, and unfortunately, 2 of the big areas he covers, nature and energy, are things I've read a lot about before. With energy, I've already read his book all about energy, so the information in that section was pretty redundant. And then when it comes to like the natural world, that's a huge subject, and there's a ton of books written on that topic. And if you've spent any time reading on that topic, then what's covered here isn't going to be that earth-shattering. It's kind of just a survey of data, and if you pick up the book, you might want to just skim through it because it doesn't add that much to your knowledge base. Where I found this book really interesting is when he's talking about man-made objects and then economies and societies. That's where the book really shines. I think that goes along with kind of the other books he's written and what his expertise is. Though if you haven't read his book on energy, I'm sure the energy section is wonderful. It's just that I've read an entire book on that already. But the technology, the like man-made objects, that's really interesting, and it puts a lot of things in perspective when you're looking at the economy today and how people are forecasting growth forever and ever. And this book kind of connects you to some of the underlying realities that are present in the data when you go back and you look at all the data that's available for how growth has happened over time. So I enjoyed the book. I liked it, but I don't think it's something I would recommend for most people. A lot of this book, it's like a reference book, and it's something you want to keep on your shelf and refer to over and over again whenever the subject of growth comes up and you kind of want to get some more information. It's not something that you're going to sit down and get drawn into and read in a few sittings. It's a very long, very thorough look at all the data that's available on the history of growth within the topics he's covering. And I don't think that's something that a lot of people will enjoy. Certainly not most of the people I know that read nonfiction books. I think this is a very specific type of book, and it's for a very specific type of reader. However, if you've read his other books and you like those, then you'll probably really like this book as well, because he tends to take the same approach to everything. He's very data-driven. There's not a lot of opinion. There's not a lot of added narratives on top of what the data is. He's just conveying as much information as possible, and he's basing, what he's saying based on what is actually supported with data. And I find it really interesting and very valuable to get this unbiased, data-driven look at things. However, I don't think a lot of people will enjoy it like I did. If you are that kind of person who can read long, dry, data-dense books and not get bored, then definitely go pick this up. But I think if you're looking for the next, really engaging nonfiction book that's going to communicate a new subject matter to you, this isn't going to be that book. I will say that I liked his last book on energy more than this book. Um, in the energy book, he does this deep dive and he covers all these individual technologies and the way they were implemented and how each one was a little bit of an improvement, and he quantitated like that improvement. I enjoyed that a lot. In this book, he's covering so much ground that he can't go into that much detail on each subject. So when I found the book interesting, I don't think he didn't go deep enough in the interesting subject matter for my taste. Though I understand why he didn't, because this book is long enough already and there's no way he could go into detail on every subject. So, I kind of was left wanting a little bit, but I can always go and find another book to satisfy my desire for a more in-depth understanding of a topic. But that's something to be on the lookout for, because when this book gets interesting, it kind of moves on to the next subject pretty fast, and you kind of sit there wishing he spent more time on the stuff that's really engaging. So I hope you guys like that review. I've got more reviews coming soon, so like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.